Brothers and sisters of the world, I am Eugene Godfried. Thank you for joining us in this dialogue with you on music in the Caribbean. So many of you have asked us to talk about the several musical genres that we know in the Caribbean, and we will gladly do so in a series of shows specially dedicated on this issue to please you and to be absolutely informing you for your delight and information on the several manifestations of rhythms and genres that we know in the Caribbean. And first of all, it is good to know that when we talk about music in the Caribbean, that we are talking about a togetherness of societies that were brought together, formed a couple of years as from 1492 with the arrival of Christopher Columbus to open up European colonial manifestations in the Caribbean area. But we should be aware of the fact that Columbus came and found societies already existing in the Caribbean, on the islands. Is it Guanahani where he arrived, where now is the Bahamas, down to whatever part of what has been named afterwards the Americas, South, Center, North. He met the Taínos on the islands. He met also in years that followed the Kalanagos, which whom they know, or rather they called the Caribs afterwards. The Taínos speaking the Arawak language. And then the process continued with the Africans that he himself has brought and the Spaniards have brought from the very beginning of the conquest, meaning the takeover of the lands of the first inhabitants, and by bringing in furthermore enslaved Africans from Africa, and thereafter from Asia, and so on and so forth. So this togetherness, the meeting of nationalities and cultures, brought with it a process to begin with of resistance and liberation by those who were enslaved, by those who were dominated, by those who were exploited by Spanish, Portuguese, English, French, Dutch, Danish, and Swedish colonialism in the area of the Caribbean. We have to start by understanding this. Otherwise, it is no need, and it makes no sense at all to talk about the manifestation known as music in the Caribbean, in this entire part of the world where we have known plantation economy. Then the concept of Caribbean becomes broad. It extends itself to the entire continent because all of it has known plantation economy as from 1492 onward. And all have had the importation of people from Europe, Africa, Asia, and who came and fused also with the natives, the first inhabitants in all of these territories. So the major point of it all is the African legacy that interests you and myself and everybody whenever we talk about music, because Africa is the continent of music. The concept of music is an integrated manifestation in Africa. Europe has known a different process of musical development. Never had Europe had that development of popular music as Africa had done. And then that has traveled with the African immigrants, forced or not forced, to the Caribbean and what is known now as the Americas. Music is dance, it is theater, it is singing, it is chanting, it is share of happiness, of sadness, It is stimulating education of the members of the society. It is discussing political situations in the society. It is togetherness always, conjunto in Spanish. It is togetherness. Jazz is this togetherness. Blues is crying out the blues, crying out sadness, resisting oppression together. Even the individual is aware of the fact that he's never an individualistic and egotistic personality. He is a member of a group, is a member of a community. And that is the basis of the musical consciousness that was inherited from Africa with the drums, the tambu in the Bantu languages, and around the drum, around the percussion instruments, this togetherness of expression. And even so, the chord instruments, the string instruments, we know originated in the area of Mali and the savannah in Africa, and traveled with the Moors and the Northern Africans to Spain and then to Europe, and came back to the Caribbean. Therefore, we've seen the development of the fusion of cultures and the way of saying music is to discuss reality, the day-to-day reality in various forms. And then also, one very important political expression has been that those who had gone through the process of enslavement, chattel slavery, what have you, and oppression and exploitation in the Caribbean and in the Americas, because of European colonialism, has resisted, but has shown also tolerance. They said, you don't want us to play our drums, you don't want us to play our rhythms, but we will persist in playing them, but we'll take some of your melodies and we'll fuse them with us to look for a harmonious solution to the crisis created by you. That is how so many rhythms have been created, as a sign of resistance, as a sign of tolerance, as a sign of finding a solution, and as a sign of looking for liberation. They are. In Trinidad and Tobago, we know the Kaiso. The Kaiso, that somebody called it Calypso one day, it remained Calypso. We know in the Eastern Caribbean, the Goka, the Begin. We know the Zouk nowadays. We know the Cadence Lipso in Dominica. Our salute to Gordon Henderson from Dominica. We know the Compas Direct, the merengue in Haiti, and the merengue in the Dominican Republic. We know the bomba, the plena, the so in Puerto Rico, the son in Cuba, which is a big rhythm complex, and we will devote shows to talk especially about the son in a couple of occasions from now upon your request. So many of you are requesting us this, and we will do, sure. But let us have a general view of what is music in the area of the Caribbean, and what is, for example, the jazz, the blues, to reach the soul music in the United States, which is the commanding force of music in the United States and in the world also, and its African roots and origin, and the way of saying music and expressing reality that we have known in all parts of the world. And in Curacao, we know the tumba and the tambu as one of the major expressions, and so on and so forth. We will continue our dialogue with you, but have there in upcoming programming on music as resistance and liberation, and the wealth of rhythms and genres that have been created in the Caribbean by the people who are lovers of peace, of equality, and of social progress, like you, listening brothers and sisters, you, viewers of radio, Eugene Godfried International.